What is going on, guys? Big welcome to you all to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta, and today you are here with D-Boy, and I am giving you guys a deck profile of the new Bruce. So if you have seen the last video where we talked about the two combos, the two big combos that you could do with this deck, you could watch it. The link will be on the channel and I will try to add it to the description section below. But all in all, the thing is that I have two decks that I play in Overdress, right? So basically I only play Bruce and I play this one competitively, the Arrival Bruce, and then I play the Viamance Bruce as a fun deck. So this would be a fun deck. And I know that you guys want this deck to be stronger. I know that you guys expected me to make this deck more competitively. This is the best build that I could come up with. It's still not as competitive as the other one, but it is very strong. Alright, so how does the deck look like? Well, let's first go fast through the deck and then come back and explain the cards and explain also what and why you have these cards in the deck and what you could take out to replace them with other cards that you want to. There are two builds when it comes to Viamance Bruce. First of all, I will give you my build, and then later on I will explain to you how to change it to the other build if needed. Alright, so for the right deck, you play Matt, you play Steve, you play Richard, and you play Viamance Bruce. It's very important to play Matt as a starter in this deck, because having a Diabolos is very important, because sometimes it does come up to call this as a booster, and then you need him to be a Diabolos. Steve will always be Steve. We don't really have anything else to add to the right deck, but Steve is actually a very important booster in this deck. Richard could also be a very important attacker, so it's very important to have this right deck and these cards in the right deck. And then of course we have Viamance Bruce. Again, we will explain them later. For now, they will chill right here, so you guys could only see their heads. Alright, so when it comes to the grade 3s, you of course want to play the persona right. So you play 3 copies of Viamance Bruce. Sad I don't have the SPs already, but they will be in their most beautiful form very short, or very fast, or shortly. For now I want to play 1 of this in the right deck and 3 of these in the main deck. But yeah, you play 3 just for the fact that you want a persona right. And to add to that, and because we also don't play any other orders, of course you add 1 of these. This will help you to persona right, and with this you play 4 persona rights, which is amazing. Alright, and then you play 2 copies of Greg and 2 copies of Julian. And we will explain later why. Alright, for the grade 2s, we play 4 beautiful SP Edens. We play 4 beautiful Jamil, and we play only 1 Megan. Alright, grade 1s, we have a lot of grade 1s. We play 4 copies of, you know, I would love to have this card in higher rarity, but Stephanie right here is an important card to add to the deck. I also add 2 copies of Trish, I add 1 Neil, 2 Mabels, and then of course 3 Perfect Guards. You could play whatever you like, if you want to play these or you want to play this, and of course adding 1 of the orders. So this is basically your grade 1 lineup, right? Okay, now the triggers. We start with the Diabolos. We have 4 Diabolos heals. You can play other heals if you want. These are good because I like the 15k shield, especially in the early game. Also, them being a Diabolos is very important in this deck. The same goes for the crits. Beautiful art, beautiful card, beautiful rarity, and being a Diabolos. This card always will be my crit when it comes to playing Overdress. Of course, we play fronts in this deck, them being a Diabolos, good shield value, and you also benefit from having your front row gaining more power because you restand, right? So this is effective. For the other triggers that you want to add to the deck, of course you want to have the over trigger. I would rather play the Dark State one than the Crane Elemental one in this deck. You could play whatever art you want. I play this in my Old Bruce deck or in Unrivaled Bruce and in my premium decks, and I do play this in this deck because I feel like it's the newer version, and the color purple fits, of course, the new Bruce more as he has the color purple. But again, the same as the PGs, you could just play whatever. And then you have 3 more triggers to add. You could add draw triggers, being the draw trigger that gets the 10k, or being the draw trigger that is a Diabolos, 5k I mean, or the Diabolos one. It's pretty much up to you. You could play whatever. I would rather play this. It's less Diabolos in the deck, I know, but it's still good. I mean, having the 5k shield does help sometimes. And then I'd like to add 1 more crit. You could play whatever art you like. I'm a big fan of her. But if you want to play this because it's an SP, you could do that. It doesn't really come that much often that you get the counter charge. And also remember that this is not a Diabolos, so you could not call it to the field. So you could never activate his ability. The same goes for this. Of course, you could never call her to boost with her because she is also not a Diabolos. But we don't have any other Diabolos except the front if you want. So pretty much up to you. You could also play 3 draws, but I like the extra crit. So this is the lineup that I'm going with. Okay, so this is the deck. We'll pause the video right here. I will show you everything on the playmat, and then we could explain the cards, and we could also talk about which cards you could put in and which cards you could take out, and also how to build the deck differently. Alright, so this is how the deck looks like, right? So we have everything in here. So you have your Bruce, your Persona Rights, you have your plus makers being Jamil and being Julian. You have your countercharger being Greg, especially if you want to use Mabel multiple times. And you have your attackers being right here, the Eden, the Megan, and the Greg. And you have your shields, being your PGs, being your Neil, being your Trish. And the boosters basically being Stephanie and Mabel. There are different things that you could change about this deck. Especially the fact that you could add more shield value like Neil. And you could take cards out like Trish. The fact that you could arrange your playstyle to not play Mabel, and with that you could take out Greg, but it's pretty much up to you. There is also, of course, the second deck that you could play, and it is the deck that plays the Ivanka. If you want to do that, you could also do that. You could just take out cards that use counterblasters like Mabel. You could take out the 2 Mabel to add in 2 Ivankas, or take out the Nail, or take out the Trish, or put 4 of this in here. With that, you would need to add more Julians to the deck, and you need to add more Megans into the deck. So you could change the deck around to play it the way you want to. So let's say, for an example, you will take these out, right? So let's say that you add 3 copies of Ivanka, because more than 3, you don't need more than 3. Let's say then you also add an extra Julian to the deck, and with that you have 2 spares, and then you add in more Megans, because Megan is another card that is very important to the combo. So you could do that. Then you have 3 Julians, 3 Megans, and 3 Ivankas, and the deck would work pretty good. And you would say not 4 Megans, you could, but you still have Greg as an attacker, and remember that it costs count plus 1, count plus 2, count plus 3. So having the Greg sometimes instead of the Megan in the front row is good as well, because he gives you the counter charge. So you could build a deck that way if you want to. Again, pretty much up to you. So these are the options that you could put into the deck. Are there other cards that you could add to the deck? Well, there are, yeah, of course, there are always cards that you could add to the deck. One of the cards that you could add if you don't want to play Megan, or you don't have Megan, or for some reason, um, yeah, you just don't want to play her, or you can't play her, then you could also play this guy. This guy is pretty good. His skill when he attacks, you soul blast 1 and you give him 5k, and if you're on Final Rush, you give him a 15k. So he becomes a huge powerhouse, and his skill is until the end of that battle, but it's not once per turn, so you could use it again if you want to. I'd still rather use Greg. He is less attacking power, but he is the one that gives you the counter charge. So again, it is pretty much up to you. But when it comes to me and the way that I like to build my decks, then I like to build them as flexible and as consistent as I can. But there is a hybrid build that you could play as well. The hybrid builds will also play the Ifanka, but like it has the combo in it, but it's not as consistent to get off. And I could show you that, right? I could, why not? I mean, we are chilling here, so let's do that. So the deck, I like building hybrid decks. I did build it first, but I didn't like it because it just didn't perform the way I wanted to. So what you do right here, of course, you have your right deck being the same, right? So I'll put the right deck right here. The triggers, you could change like the amount of crits and draws you play, but it doesn't matter. So I will take those off. Then you go for the other cards that you have. So you have 30 cards that you could play, right? Because you have your triggers being 16 and your right deck being 4, so that's 20, you have 30 cards left. From those 30 cards, you want your persona, right? So let's put them right here. So we have 4 cards. You add in the Julian again because you want to play the hybrid build. You could play 3 or you could play 2. You want to play Greg because this deck eats up counterblasts, a lot of counterblasts. And for the grade 2s, you of course want to have this boy, because this boy pretty much give you the pluses that you need. I mean, he's a good shield value as well. You want to play Eden because again, you're playing hybrid, so Eden is good. And you want to play Megan. You want to play more copies of Megan. For the grade 1s, you of course want to play Stephanie. So let's put these right here, just like that. And like this. You want to play Stephanie. You want to play her at 4. And you want to play, of course, PGs. And this. Alright, so how many cards do you have left? Well, right here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So these are the 30 cards that you have in your deck. So let's take these out because these will stay the same. Let's take the persona rights out because they will also be the same. And we are left with grade 3s being the Julians, being the Gregs, the grade 2s being the Edens, being the Jamils, and the the Megan, and for the grade 1s being the Stephanie. Alright, if you want to add in the Ifankas, then you need to give up the Mabel. I mean, you can't. It's just too much counterblasts. You can play random 1 if you want to. Just for fun, for funsies, for shits and giggles. You could, if you want to, you could. The downside to that is that the counterblast will come and will bite you in the ass. But let's say you want to play 1, and with that you could only play 2 Ifankas. You could never play more. So so we have to take 2 out. So let's take 1 Mabel out and 1 Neil. We can add in 2 Ifankas. Now we have 2 cards left that we could add. You could add one extra Julian, because again, Julian is important to the combo. And you could add in E Megan. If you do that, then you have two little Megans. So again, I will advise you to take out the Mabel to add in a third Megan. And with that, you have five attackers. And then the combo is good to go. So you could build a deck right like this. What did you take out from the deck? You took out the Trish, you took out Mabel, and you took out Neil. Trish and Neil being your defensive options. And Mabel being the one that gives you the extra drive check. But you also add it to the deck 3 counterblasts combo. The combo that needs 3 counterblasts is just too heavy. And even if you get the combo off, it is not that effective. It's not like the turn that you do with your grade 4 Bruce. It's not like that. Definitely not. And that's like the big issue. The big issue is that the combo is easy to stop, as they need to guard this column attack twice, and even if it hits, especially on the second time it will hit, you will get an attacker out of the soul, right? Your attacker will be what? The Megan, for an example, which is the strongest. And if you have Persona right, then this attack would be 30. It's still good. Don't get me wrong. It's still very, very, very good. But is it worth it? I don't know. I mean, if this attack would hit the second time, then you could also, same as Eden, right? That attack would hit, they would still take 2 damage because it has the crit. So with this, I mean, it's as effective. But hey, you could also, like, if you drive check a crit, you could put the crit on him, and then you could attack with this column, they would take it, then you attack with this, then they would guard with everything they have, and then you use the skill to count +1 to call something out of your soul, and you could call this, you could call defense. I mean, it's good, it's fun, it's lots of fun, don't get me wrong. And again, if you want to build the deck more for funsies, then you could add in the Ifunkas. You could also just make it like this, like just play the 2 Julians, add in 2 Ifunkas, and then still play the 1 Mabel. I mean, if you get the combo off, you do. If not, you don't. Pretty much up to you. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and thank you for tuning in our channel. I've given you 2 different builds and in between, so 3 builds. It is pretty much up to you to play the deck the way that you want to. This combo is really, really good, but it does require you to have the right combo pieces in your hand on the field to make the combo the strongest that you want to. And that is, in my opinion, the reason why I didn't want to play the combo. If her skill was not on hit, but just on boost, then that would have been a very, very, very different thing. And that's also the thing that this deck actually has, is that it doesn't have access to Proto-Build Dragon. Proto-Build Dragon is the one card that is way more flexible than Ifunka, and it's a sure thing. And it's a good plus as well. But because Proto-Build Dragon is not a Diabolos, you could not use him. Another card that also will give so much flexibility to the deck is, of course, the beautiful, amazing grade 3 that we have, which is, of course, the Mayuri. And the Mayuri, in this case, will also give you flexibility with getting the right booster, taking something out of the soul and stuff like that, but you don't have that. And that's the reason why I would rather not play cards like Ifunka, but just make the deck as strong as I can with cards like Eden and with more defensive options, as you only need 1 CB a turn. And even if you don't get that CB because your opponent thinks, hey, I don't want to give him the CB because he could finish me off, you could still have that CB back with cards like Greg, because Greg will give you the CB back, and that's all you need. and you need 1 CP to kill. When does this deck becomes more effective than the old Bruce deck? It's just on one situation, when you go second. When you go second, your opponent already goes to grade 3, then this deck will become more effective. Because you could go right away, you could kill right away. And the interesting thing is, if you play in this current format, if you play against, let's say, Chronojet or against Messiah, then you could actually chill another turn on your grade 2. If you chill on your grade 2, then they go to grade 3, they could not strike, then you go to this, and you could kill right away, or have a strong turn, and then next turn they could not kill you, then you have another very strong turn. So if that's the case, then that's also very, very good. But with the other deck, with the Unrivaled Bruce, you do have to go to grade 3 first, because you want to have the final rush as fast as you can. And that's the difference between these two. Because with these two, you could just chill, and then you attack, and then you go next turn to grade 3, you Persona Ride, and then you kill. Then you have two strong grade 3 turns. So that's it. Like, that's the most important thing with this deck, is even if you go first, you could chill on grade 3, on grade 2 a turn, and if you go second, then and they go to grade 3, then you could go to grade 3 and then you go ham right away. So yeah, that's it. Like, that's the biggest strength of this deck. Right, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in our channel. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below, and I will be very happy to answer you guys. If you want to see the other Bruce decks, you could also let me know, and I will be more than happy to show it to you guys, especially this one. I would rather show it at the end of the season, although I don't think that I will be playing any overdress tournaments, but hey, you never know. But yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. Thank you again, and we will see you next time. So till next time.